Good morning and welcome to the Chamber Business Report. I'm John Phillips, president of the Palm Coast Flagler Regional Chamber of Commerce. And today we've got a couple folks from the Flagler County Emergency Management Services offices with us. I've got Jonathan Lord to my right. Jonathan, welcome.
Good morning.
And Kelly Steffens to my left here. Kelly, glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're excited to learn more about some of the things going on with emergency management services. Obviously, this time of year, knock on wood, we've been good so far, but we are getting right into the heart of hurricane season. And that'll be one of the biggest topics we talk about today because it is so timely. But you guys aren't just a hurricane preparedness group. You do a lot of other things. So
that is correct.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about preparation for hurricane season, because we all know that hurricanes can and will happen, and you can do a lot in advance. And I know there's a survey going around. We're going to talk about that a little bit to local businesses and folks here in Flagler County. But let's just talk big picture things. What can people do to get prepared and be in the know so that when it comes, we're all ready to be prepared?
So I think the first thing is we all have to admit that we are not immune to hurricanes here. We hear it all the time that people say, I moved to this part of the state because my family member, my realtor told me we don't get hurricanes here. That is 100% incorrect. Anywhere in the southeastern United States, even up to the northeastern United States, can get hurricanes. Obviously, the further south you are, the risk is higher. We are definitely in an area to be exposed to hurricanes. So thinking that that's not an issue for us is definitely a misnomer. We are at risk for hurricanes. So getting past that fact, we kind of have four main tenets that we want people to think about when it comes to hurricane season, but even any kind of emergency, even outside of hurricane season, these things apply. So the four things are: get a kit, make a plan, be informed, and get involved. So if we kind of break those things down a little bit, get a kit is making sure you have a disaster supply kit. And not just for hurricane season,
right,
but use the impetus of hurricane season to make sure you have a kit that's ready to go for the whole year. In the past, we used to always talk about usually at the beginning of hurricane season, which starts June 1st. Not that hurricanes listen to the beginning of hurricane season, but
they didn't get the calendar.
You can get hurricanes before June 1st and after November 30th, which
Absolutely.
is the official season.
Yeah.
But most of them happen in the middle. But is in the past, the state of Florida used to give us a sales tax holiday for disaster supplies at the beginning of hurricane season. So it was a great way to remind people now's a good time to check your kit. If food and water and batteries were expiring, it was a great time to get those things tax-free. This year, as of August 1st, our state legislature actually made a lot of those items that used to be part of the sales tax holiday, they are now permanently tax exempt. So building your kit year-round now, you don't need to wait for that holiday. So things like batteries, which are probably some of the cheapest things you can get, all the way up to generators, up to I want to say it's $5,000, it might be a little more, are now tax-free year-round in Florida. Now, that's generators for personal home use, not some big massive generator to run your building, right, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But still, if you can get let's say you get a $5,000 generator and you're saving 7% sales tax on it, that's hundreds of dollars. That adds up. So that what used to be your barrier is now no longer a barrier to having a generator at home. So things like tarps and tie downs for mobile homes. There's a whole list of things. We actually have it on our social media of all the things that you can now get tax-free year-round in Florida. So, and then on our website, we'll talk about it towards the end, how to find us on the web. But on our website, we talk about what you should have in that disaster kit year-round. So that's get a kit. The next thing is make a plan. Make a plan is understanding the risks in our community, understanding why we may have to evacuate you for hurricanes. In general, here in Flagler County, we evacuate to get you away from the water that may come inland. It may come inland off the Atlantic Ocean. It may come inland off of the Intracoastal. If you live on the western side of the county, it may come inland off of Crescent Lake or Dead Lake. So, or even Old Hawk Creek, those areas. So it's where water may come in because of the storm. That's what we primarily evacuate for, because most of our homes and buildings here are built to be somewhat hurricane proof. Now, it's not saying all are. There are exceptions to that. If you live in a mobile home or an RV, those aren't built to the same code as a regular home. So they always get evacuated if a large storm is coming. But everybody else, if you live in a site-built home, it's really about distance from water. And depending on the size of the storm, that depends where that water may go. And then we determine what neighborhoods have to evacuate. So we do things a little different here than other communities, but we actually evacuate by neighborhood.
Isn't there an expression about hide from the wind and run from the water,
Yep,
or
run
something
from
like
the water,
that?
hide from the wind. So the water in the United States, particularly, the water is what kills people, not the wind. Even if your home is starting to get damaged because of the wind, you can usually find a safe spot in it because you stay behind. But not that it doesn't kill people, but just the number one risk in the United States is the water. That wall of water coming in off the Atlantic Ocean, which depending on the right size of the storm could be in the teens, approaching 20 feet high. Now, have we ever seen that in recorded history in Flagler County? No. But other parts of the state of Florida have never saw Category 5s before until they did. So that is entirely feasible. We don't have a history of it,
right.
but it's entirely. So that is our number one concern, is getting people away from the water that is of risk. Not the rainwater necessarily, but the water coming in.
Storm surge, oftentimes they refer to it as.
Storm surge is the official technical term, but we try not to use that term too much because, again, people are like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's water coming in off the big amounts of water coming in off other bodies of water is our concern. So that's really understanding that risk in a hurricane. That is your big risk. The wind stuff you can mitigate. If you have the financial means, and let's say you are in an older home that wasn't built as strong as our newer homes, you can get shutters. You can get things that tie down your roof better to your walls. You can get hardened roofs. There's all kinds of things you can do to your home. And there's actually grant programs out there. The state of Florida offers grant programs to help you with that. And one of the big ones that just opened up in the last couple of days is the My Safe Florida Home program. That program, residents can apply for a grant where the state will send an inspector out and tell you what things you can do for your home to make them stronger. And then based on that inspection report, you may be able to get mandatory insurance discounts. Everybody loves that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really hard to get insurance discounts. So you have insurance sellers that are members of the chamber, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So they always want to help their customers. So there's a form that can be filled out by this inspector that can get discounts if you have the right things on your home. At a minimum, even if you can't get the discount, it'll tell you what you could do to your home. And then you can either start putting money away for it if you don't have money now, or if you do have the money, you can say, I want to do this first because it's going to get me a big discount and protect my home.
And information about that, I'm assuming, is also on the website as well.
On our website, on social media, but My Safe Florida Home, you can just Google My Safe Florida Home. It is one of the best programs the state of Florida does. And it's something that I've actually been to Tallahassee multiple times advocating that the state keeps doing that.
Yeah, I know the state is doing a lot of things. You've already mentioned two of them, My Safe Florida, and then also the sales tax exemption. The state is being very proactive. And I think if there were one key word for us to focus on today, proactivity,
yes.
Being prepared in advance, and the state's encouraging that. And obviously your job, both of your jobs, because you're in the same area, Flagler County Emergency Management is trying to help homeowners and business owners to be prepared.
Yeah, and we want to empower residents and businesses. We don't want you to have to rely on government because there is not enough government to help everybody in this county, nor should there be. None of us be able to afford our taxes here if that was the case. We want to make sure that those that can empower and take care of themselves can do so, and we can give them the tools to do that, at least, or redirect them to locations where they can learn more about that. That way, then we can focus on those that do need the assistance. Yep. And that's really the purpose of our office, is to give information. Most of the population will absorb it and have the means to solve the problem themselves. Mm-hmm. And the part of the population that just can't, then that's what we're here for. Yeah,
ultimately it comes down to education, trying to educate them about what to do, where to go, where the resources are, and in, last case effort, where to go for a shelter, which is something that falls under your area as
exactly.
well.
And that's probably the other part of Get a Plan. Get a Plan is understanding your risk. That's what we first talked about. And the next part of Get a Plan is, okay, I know I'm at risk. I'm being told I have to evacuate. Emergency manager said I have to leave, mm-hmm. right? Well, where do I go? Now, we hope you have means. You could stay with friends or family outside of the evacuation area. We can only evacuate the beach. So if you have friends or family right across the Intracoastal, depending on the storm, you're totally safe.
Right.
So if you have the means, stay with friends and family, or the financial means, stay in a hotel or motel. That is totally fine as long as you're out of the area being evacuated. And we don't want you to go far. We want you to stay as close as possible. Sure. Because the minute it's safe, we want you to go back home, see your home, see your business, get it back up and running again. That is important to us. We want our economy restarted as fast as we can. But then if you don't have the means or ability to do so, we always open up public shelters. For hurricanes, as we sit today, 99.999% of the time, it's going to be in a public school. Our schools, each of our schools are built to have a certain part of the school buildings, because they're all multiple building campuses, that are built to be hurricane proof. We are working on a project right now that we actually got money from the state legislature last year. We got $10 million to build a non-school based shelter for a whole variety of reasons. We could do a whole show just on why we did that. But the state of Florida is fully funding the building of this shelter out at the fairgrounds for us.
Wow.
Super excited. So it's not costing local taxes. Now we all pay state taxes.
Sure.
So it goes into the state tax. It is, but it's money that we all paid to Tallahassee that's coming back from Tallahassee back into our community.
What's the time frame for that project?
Fingers crossed, open summer of next year, summer of 26.
Okay.
Now that building, let's talk about economy. You don't want to talk economy a little bit. That building will be usable by our community when it's not being used as a shelter. I am hoping that I am the lowest number user of it, like once a year or less.
Yeah.
Maybe once a year to exercise and test it. The rest of the time, think of it as an exhibit hall at the fairgrounds. It'll be an air-conditioned exhibit hall, so there can be community events. People can rent it out. People can have weddings there. You could have chamber expos there.
Absolutely.
So, and it's actually getting funded oddly enough, through the Department of Commerce, because 99% of the time, hopefully, it's being used for something other than what I need it for. But when I need it, it's being built as a hurricane-proof building in the first place.
Yeah. Have they broken ground on that facility yet?
Not yet.
Not quite?
We literally just finished the surveys, almost all the site surveys. We have our 30% design as we go on the air with this show. Hopefully by the end of August. Actually, I'm pretty sure by the end of August, we'll be at the 60% design. We'll know the pricing. We're getting into the minutia now of what furnishings. It's not a fancy building.
Sure.
But like what round tables versus rectangular tables and what height of the. So we're getting into that minutia now. Eventually, we'll put a stamp on it. They'll pull the permits and they'll start building out there.
That's great. We are breaking news right here on the Chamber of Business Report.
So it's very exciting. But the project was about providing economic opportunity to our community, so we could host events.
Yep.
And the county would rent it out for that purpose, but also provided public safety. So it truly is a dual purpose facility.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So we're super excited about it. And one of the reasons we push for it is we all know our county is growing like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like 80% of the counties in Florida are growing like crazy. What's unique in Flagler County, maybe not just to Flagler County, is our growth is not triggering the growth of school buildings. Not the same way St. John's is or Volusia is, right? Where our other neighboring counties are growing in a more spread out way across all age demographics. And so as they grow, they're gaining new schools, which equates to new shelters. We're growing. Now, Matanzas just opened a beautiful new building, which I'm super excited about. And our school board is amazing. They're amazing partners to work with. But at the same token, they're not building another school next year. But our population still needs more capacity to shelter. So because of that, that was another part of our argument.
Yeah.
To get
Well, that's fantastic news, and hopefully you never have to use it for a
Fingers
shelter,
crossed.
and the county can use it for multiple other purposes. But I think that also goes into the whole 60% part of the funding. It has to be truly multi-purpose and reconfigurable.
Yeah. I wouldn't have had the heart to say, first, honestly, the legislature would have the right to laugh at me and say, Johnson, I want $10 million to build a shelter, and the rest of the time the doors are locked.
Yeah.
Well, they should laugh at me for asking for that.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. We got we got to get a kit. We got to have a plan.
Be informed. Super, super important. We have an amazing program called Alert Flagler. It's free to anyone to use in the county, but we need you to register for it. So you sign. So in the good old days, if you all remember white pages, maybe Kelly doesn't. No. But we used to be able to look up phone numbers in the phone book.
Right.
And that same phone book used to be electronic if you were government. So I knew where everyone's phone was, and we used to be able to call you.
Yeah.
Now everyone has cell phones, and people don't have landlines anymore. That data does not reside anywhere because you can have the right to protect your cell phone number, right? And get on do not call lists and all that stuff, which is good for us as individuals or businesses. That's great.
Sure.
But for public safety, that kind of hurts us a little.
Yeah.
So we need you to give us your contact information. So in this Alert Flagler system, you can sign up and give us up to 5 different addresses and 8 different phone numbers or ways to contact you. So when an emergency is impacting one of those addresses, we can text you or call you with a computer voice or email you and say, hey, at one of your addresses you've listed, there's a tornado coming. There's a hurricane evacuation order underway. And that service is provided at no cost by the county. The state of Florida actually pays for it for all 67 counties, and then each county decides how to locally implement it. So you can sign up for every weather alert known to man if you really want to. Don't recommend that unless you're really into weather.
Especially this time of year.
That can get a lot. Every thunderstorm is a lot.
lot.
But I know some people, including one person in my office, who lives by that stuff. So that's super exciting. So that's a free service. But because of the way the world works today, we need you, the resident, you, the business, to do that. And let's talk into your businesses a little bit. You know, if you live in Flagler County and you work in Flagler County, a lot of the small business owners and workers do, register your work address, register your home address, register. It can all be in the same account. Register your child's school address or your mother's, brother's, father's, sister's address. Sure. So you can get those alerts for all those people.
Yeah. Because if you live in Flagler Beach and work in Bunnell, the challenges and the alerts could be very, very different. Some related to weather and some related to other things, and so you want to be in the know.
And when you get that alert, you get a little hyperlink. You can click on it, and a map will show up, and it'll tell you, oh, that's my house that's impacted. I'm not home. That's my work that's impacted. I am at work. So it becomes very graphical when you click on that link. All right. So that's what's being informed is make sure you know how to get those alerts from us.
Yeah.
And then the last thing's get involved, which is very much about not everybody, but let's say you have time and interest and you want to serve the community a bit better. We have a very exciting program called CERT, C-E-R-T, which stands for Community Emergency Response Team. That is the program that we partner with Flagler Volunteer Services, which is a nonprofit group in our community. We put that class on 3 times a year. And That class, it's a 30-hour class. It takes place over multiple days. One time during the year, we do it in the mornings. Another time during the year, we do it in the afternoons. Another time during the year, we do it in the evenings. So we around the clock, depending on everyone's availability. And that multi-day class, done in 3-hour blocks typically, we teach you some more in-depth disaster preparedness. We teach you fire safety. We actually go as far as lighting a fire, and you get to put it out with a fire extinguisher in real life. We teach you basic first aid. We talk about terrorism and active shooters because, unfortunately, that's the world we live in today, right? We talk about disaster psychology because disasters can have psychological impacts on people. We talk about how to create neighborhood teams and a whole host of other topics, how to rescue people if they're trapped under things. So we actually go into that. Wow. Some of it can be physical, but some people don't necessarily have the physical ability. You can still take the class and learn the information. We offer that again to our community at no cost. It's super important to us to do that. Our partnership with Flagler Volunteer Services, because they bring volunteers to help teach it with our team, helps keep those costs down so we don't have to pass it on to our residents or our businesses. So anyone that lives or works in Flagler County is more than willing to sign up for those classes. Is more than able to.
This is great information. We're visiting with Jonathan Lord and Kelly Steffens from the Flagler County Emergency Management Office, and we're going to recap all of this. We're also going to give you the website where you can find these things, and also let you know about the app where you go. We can sign up for Alert Flagler and more information. But first, we do have to take a short time out. And while we're doing that, we want to say thanks to our sponsors that make this show possible. Cline Construction, building the future of Flagler County for the past 30 years. Smart Technologies, they make business simple, along with Intracoastal Bank of Palm Coast, community banking the way it should be, member FDIC. And finally, Katz Green, serving Flagler County as their personal injury attorney since 1996. We'll take a short time out, and we'll be right back. Good morning, and welcome back to the Chamber Business Report. I'm John Phillips, president of the Palm Coast Flagler Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thanks again to Cline Construction, Smart Technologies, Intracoastal Bank, and Katz Green, our sponsor of our program here on Flagler Radio. We're visiting with our emergency management folks, Kelly Steffens, Jonathan Lord with us. Kelly, I'm going to turn attention to you in this second segment. And Jonathan gave us some great information about where you can learn more, but ultimately the landing point is the website. Where do they go to find out more?
Yes, our website is flaglercounty.gov/emergency. And on there you can find our preparedness guide, where you can also learn our steps to build a kit, make a plan, be informed, and get involved. On our website, you can also sign up for Alert Flagler by scrolling down and clicking on emergency notices, and you can sign up right there online. But if that's too difficult or you're not tech savvy, that's okay. You can always give us a call at 386-313-4200.
And you can help walk them through. So again, flaglercounty.gov/emergency.
Yes.
Just emergency?
Yep.
Okay. And so we talked about the four things: build a kit, make a plan, be informed, get involved. Jonathan went through those in depth. All of those are right on the website. You can learn more about maybe what should be in your kit, correct?
Yes, that would be in our preparedness guide, which is also on our website.
Okay. Yeah, it's one-stop shopping. You guys have done a great job
Yes.
helping people be prepared.
And for those who like glossy magazine-type versions, all of the libraries, so the 3 libraries in Flagler County, as well as the city halls and the county administration building, we have copies of those guides available too.
Oh, fantastic. No matter what you need, we got a way for you to find it. And then the other thing is, you mentioned earlier when we were off the air about opportunities to talk to folks from emergency management at events here in Palm Coast. Food Truck Tuesday, right?
Yes, we're at every single Food Truck Tuesday, and also the concert series that's been going on with Palm Coast, as well as all other outreach events in the community. We try our hardest to be there, and you can easily sign up for Alert Flagler on paper there as well.
Yeah, last week was a great week. Normally there's not a double dipper, but the Food Truck Tuesday got delayed because of weather, ironically enough.
It is the time of year.
Yeah, this time of year for an afternoon event in Flagler County. So Food Truck Tuesday ended up being postponed to last Tuesday. And then on Thursday, there was also a concert. And so you got a double dipper last week. And
Yes.
Your staff had to do two big events in 1 week. But
And it was Jimmy Buffett night at the concert.
It was
right?
Jimmy
Yes,
Buffett.
I would have loved to have gone
jealous.
to that
I know,
one.
I was jealous I didn't get to go.
Yeah, I was there last Thursday night, and the weather was fantastic. Obviously, it's warm. It's July/August here in Flagler County, but beautiful night. No thunderstorms, no threat that night, and it was island themed music and really well done right there at the stage in the Palm Coast Town Center. So if you're not familiar with that, when you come into Town Center, like you're going to City Hall, go toward the east and toward the movie theater, and then keep going. That's where the stage is on your right-hand side. That would be the south side of that road there. But that's where the concerts are. And, of course, Food Truck Tuesday is right there at City Hall in the epicenter of Town Center, right where the Promenade building is going on. And, again, the emergency management folks are there for every Food Truck Tuesday and every concert series, the summer concert series, where you can ask questions, get more information.
Yep.
Maybe the printed guides that
Yes,
are at
we
the
have our
library are
guides.
also
Yep.
there as well.
Yep, we even have little. You guys usually bring little kits with you too. You have a like a
Yes, we have a little
like
example kit for people to see as well.
And if somebody's not quite as tech savy, you could sign them up for Alert Flagler, maybe right there on
Yes,
their
we
phone.
started
You
doing
can help
paper
them with it.
copies.
Yeah.
So they don't even have to use their phone; just write it on paper by hand.
Yeah, fantastic. There's so many opportunities for people to get informed. And again, it goes back to be informed and get involved, right? The get involved is really in depth, and some of the opportunities that you shared there. But I think, I don't know if there's one that's more important than the other. All four parts kind of work together. But, be informed. We talked about it earlier. I just want to give you a chance to expand on it just a little bit. We got about 3 minutes left. We are focusing mainly on hurricanes because it's summer here in Flagler. I don't know how long you all have lived in Flagler County, but in 1998, there was something that had nothing to do with a hurricane.
or a wildfire.
A wildfire season. But that's another area where you guys would be educating, being informed if there had to be some sort of an evacuation. And in 1998, there was a very significant evacuation. But we have to be prepared for those things as well.
Yeah, there's a whole in our emergency preparedness guide that Kelly talked about. We talk about a whole slew. There's probably a dozen different types of natural disaster threats in our community, but active shooters, man-made stuff are risks too.
Sure.
It's quiet suburban communities like ours that we love, that we hear about those horrible things happening sometimes, right? So it's just we want people to be aware. There's very few things we're immune to. Some things are a higher risk or more likely, like for us, tornadoes, hurricanes are more likely than say an active shooter or say an earthquake.
Sure.
Earthquake's pretty slim chance, but we're not 100% immune to that either. But wildfires, we have an unfortunate history of it because we have a lot of woods here. Some of our towns here are Tree City USAs, right? Trees are beautiful, but trees are also wood and burn easily. So we got to keep that in mind. There's trade-offs with things that give us shade and keep us cool. They also have the risk of catching fire. So really, we really built that emergency preparedness guide to help talk and help people realize some of these other risks in our community.
Yeah. Let me ask final question. I'll start with you, Kelly. You grew up here in this area.
I did.
Have you lived here your whole life?
Since I was 3, close enough.
Almost, yeah. So great opportunity for you to give back and serve your community here. And you've been with the emergency management for a couple of years now?
A bit over a year now.
A little over a year. Fantastic. Did you grow up here?
I did not. So I've been in Florida most of my life now, but I grew up in 3 different countries in 3 different states. But Florida definitely has now hit the critical mass of being the longest. But for the last 21 years, I've been a Florida resident in some fashion, approaching 9 years here in Flagler.
Okay, fantastic. What drew you to Flagler County in the emergency management office?
Honestly, it reminded me of growing up in a smaller town in New Jersey. When I say growing up, it was my high school years.
Yeah.
I grew up in a town that had a main street, and I belonged to the volunteer fire department, so I could walk down the road and knew everybody. After I worked for the state of Florida as their deputy director, actually back when Matthew and Irma impacted here.
Okay.
And so I was looking at Flagler County from the state's perspective, and I saw the amount of locally grown volunteerism in this community that reminded me of what I consider the closest thing to being home. Mm-hmm. And that really spoke to me.
Yeah.
Because we don't see a lot of that in Florida anymore. So we are a growing community. We are not a small community, but we have, because of our large active retiree population, that truly drew me to this community because they have this volunteer spirit of the community helping community. So I was oddly interested and drawn to that when I was looking for my next stop when the governor was changing.
Yeah, it's interesting. Flagler County has got well over 100,000 residents, but it still has a small town feel,
And I love it.
And I think that's what you were kind of alluding to.
I love it every day.
Yeah, and for you, it's home.
Yeah.
You went a long way away to college, 30 minutes south of here to Embry-Riddle, and you studied Homeland Security, correct?
Yep.
And so this is a perfect fit for what you aspired to do and living your dream every day, right?
Exactly. I interned with emergency management, so it was my goal.
Yeah, your goal to turn that internship into a full-time gig, and you got an A+ recruit.
We
here,
did.
I know that.
I was super excited. We hired her and one other individual within a few months of each other, both local, what I consider locals. They were both born in another state but lived here 99% of their lives.
Yeah.
But it was exciting to see us be able to hold on to a Flagler County resident, because we do hear stories all the time of they leave and go elsewhere. It was exciting for me to be able to hold on to people that grew up in our community.
Well, I appreciate your time today. Jonathan Lord, Kelly Steffens from Flagler County Emergency Management. Again, if you want to go to Food Truck Tuesday or Concert Series over there in Palm Coast, you can learn more face-to-face. You can go to the website, flaglercounty.gov/emergency. You can call the phone number. And most importantly, you can be prepared for emergencies that may happen here in Flagler County. Again, not exclusively centered on hurricanes, but it is that time of year, so that's our primary focus right now. We will wrap things up on this wonderful Saturday and say thanks again to Katz Green, Intracoastal Bank, Cline Construction, and Smart Technologies for sponsoring the Chamber Business Report. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.